speaking of Kamala, right? How do you feel about her? Because I know you made a comment earlier saying that she don't claim her black side.
House niggas, just like Barack Obama, they do what they need to do to stay close to the white power structure. She made a career locking up black people. This is the same woman who went on international television, Art, let me remind you, about a year or two ago and said America is not a racist country. You want me to go vote for a so-called black woman who went on international television and told the world that America is not a racist country? She spit in the face of the family of Trayvon Martin. She spit in the face of the family of Breonna Taylor. She spit in the face of the family of Michael Brown, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Amir Locke, Dante. We can go on and on. Tamir Rice, all the Africans murdered by police, which are state-sanctioned executions. Let us be clear. The police are agents of the state. When the police kills a black person, that is a state-sponsored execution. And in response to all this racism, the execution of George Floyd, this part-time black woman says America is not racist. And when I say part-time, Art, I'm not poking fun at her because she's being mixed race. I want to be clear. I'm poking fun at her because she can rarely be found speaking up for black people. My issue ain't her being mixed race. Nobody's responsible for how they come into this world. My issue with her is not identifying with her people. I remember another interview I saw with Kamala Harris, Art, and she said, somebody asked her, what are y'all going to do for black people? And she said, we can't pass laws just for black people. She said this, we can't do things just for black. Well, Kamala Harris, can I ask you a question, Madam Vice President? If the Democratic Party can't do anything just for black people, why did y'all pass a law only for Asians? Why did y'all pass a law only for Native Americans? Why did y'all pass a law only for transgenders? Why did y'all pass a law only for LGBTQs? Why did y'all pass a law only for immigrants? If you can't do anything just for black people, this is what she said. It came out of her mouth. If you can't do anything just for black people, how was it possible for you and President Biden to do all these other things for specific ethnic groups in this country from whose benefit no other group can take anything from? Complete contradiction. Kamala Harris is not for black people. But you know what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you why they went that way. Or if they stay that way, they could flip her out. But let's say for the sake of conversation, because Joe Biden did pass her his nomination, even though it's not his decision. She has his support, but the party got to choose her in Chicago. But let's say Kamala Harris gets the Democratic Party nomination in Chicago the week of my birthday, August 19th, I believe the DNC begins, or the 17th. Anyhow, here's why they're going to go that way, Art. Why are the Democrats about to give us the first woman president in American history? I'm going to tell you why. In 2022, there were 10 million more women registered to vote than men in America. Now I'm talking everybody, Art, black, white, red, yellow, brown, gay, straight, everybody. There were 10 million more women registered to vote than men, even though there's only about 3 more million women than men in this country. Population-wise, there's not a great gender disparity. You only see that when you come to the black community for reasons of extermination, incarceration, okay, miseducation, right, and sexual confusion, right? So outside of black America, the male-female gender balance is almost the same. I believe there's 168 million adult women in America, and there's about 165 million adult men in America. So you only have a 3 million person discrepancy. Now, those 10 million votes, there's 10 million more women registered to vote than men are. Elections have been decided by votes less than 10 million. You've had elections decided by 1 million. You had elections decided by 2 million. You've had elections decided by 3 million. You've had elections decided by 700,000 votes. If there's 10 million more women registered to vote than men in America across all race, colors, and class, If we nominate Kamala Harris as the Democratic Party's president, can she bring us those women votes, those undecided women? Can Kamala Harris bring us all the poor black women, the working class black women, the upper class? Can she bring us the white middle class women? Can she bring us the poor white women? They are banking on the fact that there's 10 million more women than men registered. And if we stick Kamala Harris out there for us, can she bring us the greater share of those 10 million female votes? Here's what it's going to come down to. Do white women prefer a woman of color or a white man? That's what it's going to do. White American women prefer to have a white man in the presidency or a woman of color? And you know what I think, Art? I'm not completely decided, but I would say to you, wasn't this question already answered for us when Donald Trump took on Hillary Clinton? Did not America's white women choose Trump over Clinton? When it came time for the Electoral College to cast them votes, they went with Trump. So if they chose Trump over Clinton, here's the question, Art. If American white women chose Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton the first time Trump ran against a Democratic female, why would they switch and choose Kamala Harris over Trump the second time? If they chose Trump over a very well experienced, very popular Hillary Clinton the first time, why would they switch and now choose a black woman, half black, half South Asian, half East Indian? Why would they choose a black woman over Trump when they didn't even choose Hillary Clinton over Trump? But I'm telling you this, brother, I'm going to the Democratic National Convention. I'm going to try to get there because that's going to be a circus. You ain't seen a nigga show in your life like what you're about to see, because they got to outdo Hulk Hogan. They got to outdo Amber Rose. They got to outdo Ben Carson. You want to see a house coon show in Chicago like you have never seen. I cannot wait to see which rapper. I cannot wait to see which rapper, which basketball player, which football player, which comedian, which actor. I cannot wait to see which one of these house nigga celebrities is going to go to bat for the Democratic Party. And here's my thing, Art. I'm not dismissing the black celebrities for speaking at the Democratic National Convention just for that reason. I'm dismissing them, Art, because they're going to go up there, show up and show out for the Democrats without a single promise to their community, without a single pledge to their community, without a single concession to their community. With all we've been through and all we about to go through, how the hell can you fly your ass to Chicago, basketball player, football player, rapper, actor, dancer, singer, comedian? How can you go up there and show out for Kamala Harris, who never did a damn thing for black people? That's my issue. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Every black person listening to me, on November the 5th, you need to be in a black community when the election results are read. My bougie nigga living in the suburbs, living in an all-white community, you do not want to be caught outside on November the 5th if Donald Trump loses. Because here's my thinking, Art. We only got 3 months and a few weeks to the presidential election. Let me say that again. We only got 3 months and a few weeks to the presidential election on November 5th. You mean to tell me Joe Biden backs out with 3 months left, anoints Kamala to his spot? She only got 3 months to campaign, and you still going to beat a very popular Donald Trump? Do you think the American people are going to believe Donald Trump lost fairly after y'all tried him in court, convicted him in court? And I know we'll get later to the artificial assassination, but nonetheless, do you really think Americans are going to believe Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump straight up? I'm not too sure about that. And if poor white America thinks they were robbed of this election, that January 6th takeover, That was nothing but a pool party for what you're about to see in this country if Donald Trump loses this election. I would not want to be a black person in a white neighborhood on November the 5th, 2024, when those presidential election results are read and Donald Trump is not the winner. I believe white folks are going to show up and show out art. You better have a gun, a knife. Black people better exercise, what is it, our Second Amendment rights? Right to carry, is that the Second Amendment or the Fourth?
I want to say the second.
I think it's the second. Black folks better exercise their right to carry. You better buy every gun, every bullet you got. Because if Donald J. Trump loses this election, going against a Democrat who had 3 months to run, you had 3 months to run and you beat Donald Trump, white America gonna flip off, Art. I'm going to make sure I'm ready, brother. Make sure you're ready. And I want all my American Africans out there, wherever you live in America, especially if you're in a city that's predominantly white, if you're in a state that's predominantly white. You know, we in Philly, which is half black, half white, 50-50. You know what I mean? But black people, please be prepared for what can happen on these streets if Donald J. Trump loses that election. And to that point, Art, this is why I think the shadow government has a lot of deciding and a lot of reasoning and a lot of debating to do. Because here's the thing, Art. If you steal the election from Trump and give it to the Democratic Party, whether it's Kamala or anyone else, because you want to make sure China doesn't take over Africa, and you want to make sure China doesn't take over the Caribbean, and you want to make sure China doesn't take over second and third world, Central and South America. So you want a Democrat in there because Democrats have always had better relationships with black countries. If you do that, you might win the world, but you might lose America. Because if these white folks flip out, Art, look, let's be honest. The American public has more weapons than the American military. Let me say that again. The American public, 350 million people, they have more guns than the U.S. military. Now, the military has better weapons. The military has better weapons, but the people have more weapons.
Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to the channel. So, we have just watched that clip by Dr. Umar Johnson. And I just want to first of all point out something that someone might watch that clip and, say that it is sort of inciting or a sort of incitement, because he says that the black people must prepare, must get their armory ready and weaponry, and just be really, really cautious. In fact, if possible, leave those white. If you live in a white neighborhood, it's advisable not to be there or to be really safe. But personally, I do not think that is incitement in any way. What I think that is the painful truth, the bitter pill that we have to swallow as black people, even as the white people and everybody else. This tendency and behavior of euphemism, euphemistic language, soft language, so it doesn't hurt this and that, to sugarcoat, is not helping anything. Let's call a spade and a spoon a spoon. Let's put things in black and white. The black people of the United States must prepare. We know that they're going to the elections. It's common knowledge that they're going to have the elections in a few months' time, and it's really it's we better be prepared for what is to come. Now, in this clip, Dr. Umar is trying to tell us about who this Kamala Harris is, and if she really is for the white people or the black people. And clearly he says that she is not there for the black people. Black people, wake up, do not be deceived. She is a politician, not a leader. We have to start drawing clear-cut lines, clear definitions of the differences between politicians and leaders. Politicians are not leaders, and sometimes leaders are not even politicians. And those are two different people. Politicians are those that beg you to send them, to power. But politicians are those people that we beg them, in fact, to assume positions of power. And politicians are liars. Leaders are people that say the truth. It doesn't matter how that truth is going to sound, but it's better said. Because it's better safe than sorry. That is the same case. Let's prepare for that time. Black people, hey, wake up. Let's prepare for that time. Because it's better to be safe than to be sorry. That is just simply what Dr. Umar is trying to say. Politicians will measure their success by the amount of personal gain, of course, from the loots, we know that. But leaders measure success by the progress of the people they lead. Now, let me deviate a little bit. So, recently in Kenya, there was a lot of upheavals and anti-government riots, anti-bad governance riots. And the president of Kenya fired his entire cabinet. But soon after, some of the ministers that were in that cabinet were reinstated, were called back to their jobs. And as our constitution says, is that they have to go through after the president appoints, then they go to the parliament for vetting and for them to see if he's fit for that position. And one thing, now you have to declare your wealth, so now they can so we can keep track of how much you gain within a particular period of time. So for those that have been reinstated, those have been called back after they were in office for 20 months, barely 20 months, since the new government took over and they were appointed. And then after the 20 months, after the riots, they were fired and sent home or sent on a break, because if they were reinstated back, some of them back to the same ministries that they were heading, then it looks like they were just given, just days off. Now, what I keenly observed is the amount of wealth those people amassed within the 20 months time they have been in offices. Because these people were vetted by the parliament when they got in, and later fired and now recalled back, and now they have to redeclare. And you could see the magnitudes of growth of their wealth. And well, I don't have a problem with someone amassing wealth or making money, or that's not my problem. But my problem here is when I look at how much you have personally grown financially compared to the growth in terms of the work in your leadership position, then while you are still there, something is not in place. Because if you really are a leader and you know that personally you can grow, then that should be reflected in your leadership. That is one thing that tells us as Kenyans, as the people of Kenya, those are not leaders, those are politicians. Politicians, we know they are populist in their ideas, in their development ideas. But a leader does the right thing, whether it's good for the people, whether the people see it as you know it is to their benefit, or whether they don't see it. Later on, as long as it was the right thing, they will realize what the leader did was for the good of them. Now, politicians love incompetence. One thing you must understand: politicians love incompetence because they love the yes people, people that do not challenge them in their ideologies, people that are just there for them. But of course, we know that leaders love competence, love people. They surround themselves with intelligence, a good circle. Even in your cabinet, you should have people that challenge you to do better for the people. The black person has to wake up to this reality. And there's this thing of telling us, oh, just forget about that, forgive and forget. We ain't doing that now. We are not doing that. We are not going to forget anything. And it doesn't matter where the leader is coming from. That is for we are black people, and we have to stand as a block. It doesn't matter whether you're coming from the Caribbean, from America, from Africa, from Europe. A black person is a black person. It is our concern. We're not going to forget. Now, I have come across rather ridiculous interviews and clips on the internet of white people saying this, and listen to this carefully, black people. They're afraid of violence when black people take power, especially in America. And that's crazy. That's downright ridiculous. We, the black people, that have for centuries, for all of our lives, been the victims of violence. Now they say they're afraid of violence from the black people when the black people are in position of power. History is there, and history has it that the black people do not have any history of killing white people. But white people have good, clear, for everyone to see history of killing, oppressing, enslaving, dehumanizing black people. I just want to emphasize on Dr. Umar's point that Kamala, whether she becomes the next president of the United States or she doesn't, is not for black people. I don't care about where she comes from, what her background is, because even as a person who has different roots or roots from even a black community, which I'm not even saying she's having her roots from a black community, is we also have populist politicians, and we have leaders. And leaders are few, and would rather have a poor politician but a good leader than a good politician and a poor leader. Kamala Harris is on record saying that they can't pass laws just for black people, but laws have been passed for other ethnic groups in America. So why not for black people? And they will come with a narrative, because we know how politicians now, they will come with a narrative and propaganda, telling people about how she has her roots from Jamaica, how she needs to become the first female president of I don't know what and what and what. That is political propaganda. Well, I know right now the black person in America is between a rock and a hard place. That is what we say. Because looking at the other side, and I think even before this endorsement of Kamala Harris by Joe Biden, the black person was always there, has always been there. Because looking at the other side is not favorable for them. And now thinking about the person that's coming up next, well, I know we are yet to see if she's really going to be endorsed, but high chances are she is going to be, or already she has the blessings from Joe Biden. But and well, in case she happens to to become the flag bearer, now it remains to be seen. In fact, I personally pray that she does not become the flag bearer of the Democrats. Because if then she goes ahead and becomes, then the black person is not going to be in any better, at any safe hand. She is on record, being against black people. And sometimes I think we prefer the devil that we know than apparently that angel that we don't know. Well, I'd love to get your reactions and your thoughts and your opinions about this in the comments. And because when I'm making this video, I'm not trying to decampaign Kamala Harris or to campaign for Donald Trump. No, but we're just trying to expose the truth. Because sometimes what has been the biggest problem with the black people is this: we do not really get to educate ourselves exactly on uh, some such matters. And this is of concern to everybody, including people in Africa, because of course this is the elections of the US, and of course we all know that has an impact, a ripple effect on the whole of the globe. So maybe we can end this video here. Do share your opinions, your thoughts here in the comments, and like this video. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please support us by subscribing to the channel. So until next time, see you in the next video.